Hello and welcome to another edition of Word in the Burg, our monthly topical talk show about issues that matter to Harrisburg and the region. Today we are continuing a very important conversation, a conversation that began just recently at the Youth Summit that was hosted at Harrisburg High School in the auditorium. We had a panel of Harrisburg youths talking about the root cause of some of the violence that we're experiencing here today. They touched on a lot of topics, and the audience response was rather incredible.
If we see it, our friends are spurring down the wrong track, what are we doing? We're quick to come at our adults and our teachers and stuff, but what are we doing?
Our youth, we need therapists. We need people that really care about us and that will sit down. You know, there's been people that have been molested, people that have been abused.
I just want to know how to be positive when, like, mostly everything around me is, like,
They can also find us.
negative, yes.
They need a safe haven. I'm talking about these teenagers. So that they don't have to resort to going ahead and robbing somebody or killing somebody because they feel like they got to make it because they don't know where their parents been at for a week.
We are joined today by three incredible young individuals. Very pleased to have with us Mr. Nick Burg. Nick is a student, a current student at Harrisburg University. We are also joined by Salome Hall. She is a recent graduate of Harrisburg High. And we're joined by Malik Potter, who is currently a student at Lock Haven University, but is a proud product of the Harrisburg School District and Sci-Tech High. So welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Let's start with finding out a little bit more about you. I think people watching, if they saw the Youth Summit, which has been playing on Channel 20, they were very impressed with what you had to say. But I think they might want to know a little bit. Let's start with you, Nick. Tell us a little bit about what your interests are and what your background is.
I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm 18 years old. And I'm currently a dual enrollment student at Harrisburg University. And I plan to major in psychology, but I definitely want to attend the United States Air Force alongside my brother and a couple of other friends who are joining as well. I'm going in for personnel, and that's a field of profession that I want to take myself into, therapy with anyone within the service and above and beyond. I also want to attend college. Louisiana State University is my goal. So that's a little bit about me. Okay, why LSU? Football is awesome, starters, okay. But it definitely is a good distance from home where I can learn a little bit more about the state and just have an experience to myself, definitely.
That's great. What's it like being a dual enrollment student at Harrisburg University?
It's trying. It's a lot of work that I constantly have to do, but it definitely is rewarding. The interaction with college students, knowing that down the road I'll have that same experience later, it's really warming for me.
Okay, that's great to hear.
Thank you.
And Salome, tell me a little bit about your interests.
I just turned 21. I am a independent artist and writer. I have 2 blogs, YouTube channel. I play hoop and handball at the Y downtown on Wednesdays. I want to help my city change a little bit because it's getting kind of shaky out there. I think the people need some hope.
So what do you blog about?
I blog about stuff that happens to me in real life, and the other blog I have are for personal stories that I make up because I have a very wild imagination.
Oh, great. Do you have a favorite author that you sort of admire?
I would say Scott Westerfield.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I've only read one of his books, but the book that I did read, I've reread it a lot of times. Like, I've reread it at least once my entire time in high school.
Okay, and what's your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Sagatness. It's probably really weird to spell, but it's on there. It's not, high quality or anything like that because I don't have expensive equipment, but I try. So.
Any thoughts on where you'd like to see yourself in 5 years or so?
Maybe hopefully with a better paying job, maybe a pet, and a decent collection of books.
All right. I might be able to help you on the book collection. Just ask. That sounds good. It sounds great. Malik, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a graduate from SciTech High School, class of 2013. I'm a current student at Lock Haven University. I major in entrepreneurship and business management. I'm born and raised in Harrisburg. I just recently moved to Middletown last year. My family is very prevalent in the community. We do a lot of work with the YMCA. My cousin is the founder and CEO of ARC. So I'm very familiar with the impact in the community and how to give back in these resources. So I just wanted to, like, my career goals and what my focus is to live an impactful lifestyle. First, to get myself in a situation where I can make a difference, and then start to implement that plan.
Well, that's great. And how's it been like shifting from Harrisburg to Middletown?
It's very different. Well, as I said, I'm a college student, so I don't have a lot of experience in Middletown because I'm never really home.
Sure.
But the community is very different. It's not as warming, and I'm not around the same group of people. However, it's still kind of the same in a sense.
Yeah.
Very spread out.
All right. Well, you're all very connected to the community here. And I want to get right to the topic that we discussed at the Youth Forum the other night, which is what are we going to do about the epidemic of violence that we're all suffering from? And Nick, I want to start with you. I think there was some consensus the other night, maybe, among the panelists, that one of the core issues has to do with parenting. And,
yes.
You know, I'm a parent of 3 young children, all born and raised in Harrisburg, and I think about this every day in terms of you know, what I'm teaching them and how I'm acting as a role model. It seems to me that was central to your remarks the other night. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Well, when I basically say how parenting is very essential, because my mother definitely wouldn't let me stray away from my education or any beneficial thing for me for my future. She made sure that I didn't associate with a certain amount of group of people, or I wasn't in a certain area when I didn't need to be. And that small effort from keeping me from doing wrong definitely helped me better myself in the future. And that's what I was trying to portray at the meeting, was that just that small effort of keeping your child where they need to be and just trying to mold them to have a better future definitely will work out in the long run. So, yeah.
And I think, you know, parents listening to that, they heard it. I mean, it was a very clear message.
Right.
But you know, how are we going to make that happen in a you know, at a time in which parents are sort of working around the clock, maybe having multiple jobs? We've got a lot of single parents. We've got a lot of pressures on family life and society in general.
Right.
Do you have advice? I mean, what would you like to see? Your mother's been a role model for you, but
Yes.
how can we make sure that others have those same role models?
Well, my mother, just like she was my role model, she did everything in her power to find other role models, because when, like you said, working around the clock, you know, when she's not there, she felt I still needed someone to watch after me and make sure I was doing the right thing. Summer programs definitely helped. All different types of activities after school helped, and they're ran by adults, and that just helped me see that there's someone else that cares about me, wants the best for me, and is doing everything in their power for me. And just seeing that happen on a constant level constantly reminded me that I shouldn't be doing anything I'm not supposed to be doing in the beginning, because I would be disappointing way more people than my mother. And I think that's what some kids aren't understanding, that you're disappointing more people than your loved ones by doing the wrong throughout the city.
Yeah. Salome, Nick talks about disappointment and how you know, fear of disappointing those that he respected and admired was a motivating factor. It seems like today we have a problem whereby some young people, you know, don't have that fear of disappointment. They don't have that respect either for themselves or for others. What are we going to do about that? What do you think?
One suggestion could be what probably may go on in other areas, Well, I'm not saying that we got to do the whole like taking strays off of the street sort of thing, but I mean, for parents that don't want their children end up growing up in jail, whenever you do get time, you know, like sit your kids down and explain to them what will happen if they pursue bad things. You can end up in jail. Someone could take you away from me. You could never see me again. Someone could kill you. Like, you could die. If you do things that are bad, if you rob people, if you go out and hurt other people, there are consequences. You may think that you're getting away with these things, but somebody has seen you. Somebody knows that you're doing wrong and you will be punished for it. It might not be me that's punishing you, but somebody will. And they probably won't be easy on you about it either.
Do you think that's it? Do you think it's that some of our youth don't understand what the consequences of their actions are? And if that's the case, that would seem like something that we ought to be able to teach. We ought to be able to correct.
Yeah. I would say jail visits. Like, you know, like how they have some of those shows like Scared, Beyond Scared Straight. I would say maybe it would work, being in an environment where you're around nothing but hostility. Because the kids running around the city, they don't care about consequences. They have no fear. They think that they're adults, that they can do whatever they want because they don't think anybody has the power to punish them. If you're taken into a jail and you're surrounded by a bunch of hostile people that have no freedom, people that don't know anything but violence, you're going to want to change. You don't want to be surrounded by that much hostility all the time. That sort of thing could change somebody's mind.
Have you had an experience in your life where you were sort of scared straight, so to speak? I mean, was that a motivating factor for you, or was it something else for you? What kept you on the path to where you are now?
I guess I could kind of say I was scared straight, but it's not that I was acting out or anything. I've always been like a really quiet, kind of keep to myself kind of kid. I wasn't out.
With 2 blogs and a YouTube channel. And yet,
I mean, even before that, I'm just like, I'm in my books, or I'm playing video games, or I'm just sitting by myself drawing. I don't really communicate with people very often. Like, I go to family functions and things like that. It's more like, like my relatives are always like, oh, well, you know, like stay in school, don't do bad things, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I hear you. I know bad things are bad. You know, you got to know right from wrong. I've seen a lot of my relatives and other people that I care about who have made bad choices, and they're in very bad predicaments. They're homeless. They're strung out on different kinds of substances. They're in jail. They've lost custody of their kids. They look like they're dying. They don't look like they're happy. I want to live a life where I'm happy, and I know what can make me happy. Doing the right thing. Doing the right thing gets you rewards. When you're rewarded, you're happy. You keep on the straight and narrow, more things will start pouring in and you get rewarded. You bring yourself more happiness. So, I mean, I see them doing things that they shouldn't be doing, like being out late. Nobody's watching you. You don't know where you are. You could be at home watching TV, or you could be outside hanging with your friends and something bad happens and you end up getting hurt. That could have just easily have been avoided if you told your friends, oh, you know, I got homework, or, you know, I have to do the dishes or something. Make up some sort of excuse. Stay where you know where you are. Stay where you're familiar.
Good. And Malik, what do you think? What do you think is one of the root causes for this sense of despair that a lot of our youth have, in the sense of not only a lack of fear of consequences, as Salome's saying, but also a lack of positive role models that they fear disappointing, that Nick is pointing to. What do you think?
Personally, or from my personal experience, growing up with 2 parents and 2 very supportive, loving parents, I understand the severity and the importance of having them. And I also have a lot of friends who have come from single-parent homes or still are in single-parent homes, and they're independent. And from my observation, I know that a lack of respect in authority finds its root in a lack of dependency in the authority. I feel as though a child can't be held accountable for his actions whenever we influence his actions, maybe indirectly or from a lack of our guidance, we lost them. In short, I believe in order for us to make a change or for us to start somewhere, we would have to recognize where the issue is. You know, it takes a village to raise a child. And parents are the most influential part. However, raising a child is based off of mentorship. And a mentorship consists of parenting, coaching, teaching, involvement from community leaders, neighbors, or even family members. And I believe that once we recognize that we are the issue, or our lack of guidance and lack of participation, and communication amongst each other are the issue, then we can move on from there.
I totally agree with you on the issue of mentorship. In your own experience, do you feel those mentors exist in Harrisburg?
I believe they exist. The issue is it's very discouraging whenever you see one person trying to make a difference, or you feel that you're trying to make a difference, you have a constant effort towards it. However, once you understand that negative actions and poverty and consequences and crime is inevitable, it's discouraging. It's very discouraging. And I believe that unity among our mentors in the school district, in the city, in our community leaders, and in our homes, once we get that unity, I think it would be very beneficial for everybody. Because once we work together, the city has a plan to implement something. The teachers have the direct power to do it. The people who run the after-school programs have the power to do it, but there's not enough support within each other to make that happen. And I believe that would be a great place to start.
And again, I agree with you. What do you think is the root cause for that lack of unity? If the mentors are there, but it's a question of them not working with one another to make sure that there's a sort of common vision and a common theme. What do you think causes that?
Well, I believe it all comes from misunderstanding and lack of communication. You know, we all have a common issue that needs addressed, and we can address it whenever we discuss our points of view from it. So say we have community leaders and we have someone who's in charge of the city. We can bring it to someone who's in charge of the school district and say, well, this is our concern. And we can also incorporate people from the YMCAs, the Hope and Handball Organization, and these different, in the Boys and Girls Club, we can incorporate all of these together and say, this is what our common issue is. How are we going to bring this to our attention? Because I believe that violence is something that's a major problem in our city, but it's also a major problem in our country. So once we diagnose the issue as for what it is, because when you have violence in a society, whenever you embrace dependency and you embrace individuality, there's two sides of that coin. There's success, there's opportunity, there's a freedom of thought, and that with the freedom of thought comes the freedom to succeed and fail. And there's a direct link between how you act and your reflections on your economic situation. So not only in our society where we have the individuality, you have the opportunity to fail, and with that, and not being satisfied with your situation, that is also inclined to violence. Like poverty and violence are in direct correlation.
Sure.
And when I say we perpetuate violence, I don't mean like directly, but violence is something that is not socially accepted, but it's not abnormal in our community.
Well, let's talk about some controversial topics. Let's start with guns. Nick, I know you want to go into the military. Obviously, you know, part of owning a firearm is owning it responsibly and having respect for, you know, what it can do.
Yes.
And that echoes some of the themes that we've discussed. But how easy is it to get a gun in Harrisburg, in your experience? And what do we as adults need to know about the impact of guns on our youth?
Well, being honest here, getting a gun is just about as easy as buying a bag of chips at the corner store. You can just about go anywhere. If you know the right location, you know the right people, it's like water. And that is an issue because I haven't personally seen the purchase of a weapon, but I know that the purchase of a weapon in this city primarily is very accessible. It's very easy to do, and it's difficult to track, because it's in all different types of locations, uptown, downtown, midtown. It's in places that we normally wouldn't expect, simply because it's such an easy outlet, just like with corner stores. You can find them all over Harrisburg. And that's how it is with weapons in the city. You can find them anywhere. It's just if you know the right person, you talk to the right people, it's the easiest thing that you can grab, honestly.
I hear this all the time in Harrisburg about how easy it is to get guns, and the evidence sort of bears that out with the number of guns that are being used illegally, and the number of crimes that are involved with handguns. This is one of the reasons that we're working so hard to try and get them off the streets. But I guess the question is, to what extent do you think guns and gun culture sort of perpetuates this notion that that's how you solve your differences, rather than through dialogue and conversation? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, growing up, my mom taught me that she said your best weapon is this first, and then this is your second weapon. And she also taught me that whenever I get hit, if someone ever was to hit me, that it is my job to hit them back. And in today's society, we see that a lot, except it's not with hands. If someone was to shoot at me primarily, my first instinct, as I've grown up on the street, would be to shoot back. Because there's no conversating. There's no shake hands and part ways. There's no truce. It's a battle. And once you open that up, once the first shot is fired, there's many more that is going to come from both sides, because it has that you hit me, it is my turn to hit you. And it'll just continue. And the only way that we really can avoid that is by, and like Malik said, an interaction, to get people talking, but not necessarily with adults, like he said, but to necessarily get kids talking, to have a fluent agreement with each other that, we are friends.
Yeah.
For in that sense, I don't have to hit you, and you don't have to hit me. And that's where the gap is, because they're not sure if they should be friends, for that simple fact of, I'm afraid that you're going to hit me, and then you may be afraid that I'm going to hit you. So that altercation comes between whether or not I trust you or if I don't.
And I think getting our youth talking is an important part of what we're doing here.
Right.
And it can't just be adults talking at the youth. It has to be youth talking to one another.
Exactly.
Salome, let's talk about drugs and what role that may play in the current violence that is plaguing our youth.
I would say drugs are probably just as easy as getting a weapon is. Everybody communicates with all kinds of people, whether you know that person directly or if it's your friend's friend's friend. You probably unintentionally know somebody that knows how to access drugs or is already on drugs. It could just start with somebody asking a simple question. Do you want to try something new? And a lot of the time, youth would feel as if they don't have a choice, or they might think again that there are no consequences for their decisions or their actions. Oh, I'm just going to try it one time, it won't hurt. Yet later on down the road, they have an addiction, they have a problem, they're going out and hurting people, they're doing things they shouldn't be doing just to get more of whatever they're hooked on. You could just say no, but at the same time, oh well, if you say no, we're going to think this, that, and the other of you, and we can't be friends anymore. That can start violence. And with that, it goes hand in hand with peer pressure. Oh, well, my friends might stop talking to me, if I don't do what they're doing. Or, I won't have any friends if I'm not doing what the cool kids are doing. If I'm not following the crowd, I'm going to get left behind, and where is that going to leave me?
I hear you. Malik, let's talk also about education. In fact, let's sort of end on education, because you're a young man, you're going to college, you're a successful graduate of SciTech High. I listened to you three, and I think, my goodness, the educational system is working wonderfully, and you are the proud examples of that. At the same time, I know that it's not working for everyone, and what is your perspective as a youth and a recent graduate, on what we can do to improve that for more than just a few?
Well, to start, I am a proud member of the Harrisburg School District. I'm a proud product of that. And I believe that the kids that they do not reach in the school district, I believe there's a constant effort and there's an amazing, valiant effort to reach everybody in the classroom. However, a healthy teaching environment and a healthy home and a healthy community is the root of everything. I know a few people who are in the community and they struggle with a lot of things, whether it be financially or in a bad home situation or just the crowd of people they're around. And that's the origin of where this problem is. The teachers have a great effort. They reached out to me and I was able to receive the information because I come from a home where I respect my parents, and I respect the authorities, and I understand that. I believe in order for us to reach our youth, and I believe to reach them educationally, the important part that we should stress would be to get in contact with them on a personal level. And I would suggest having more social work involved in our school district and in our community, and that would come from more support for the parts of the school that are loved by kids, even in the gym class. Or we can work with our school in partnership with the city to bring a comforting setting, or maybe an extra class where you can just vent and talk about different things. And you can also have people like Nick and I and others to come in and discuss certain topics. There's a lot of people who would love to do it. However, this opportunity is not here because we have not presented it. There's a lot of love and there's a lot of drive for people to make a change, but the opportunity is here. We just don't take advantage of it.
Well, let's start taking advantage of it. Let's seize that opportunity, and I certainly hope you are welcome back into the district and able to lead the conversations. And that's really the spirit of what we've done with the Youth Summit, which was a joint production between the city and the school district. What we're going to continue to try and do: break down those barriers, establish those mentors, and engage our youth in constructive conversation, so that they can see that the role models are all around us. It takes a village. The village is there. The question is, how do we connect people in ways in which they need to be connected? So I want to thank you all for continuing the conversation. I want to let viewers know that our next Youth Summit is going to be in Susquehanna Township. It'll be coming up. It is important that we understand this is a regional issue. It's not even just a Harrisburg issue. It is a regional issue, and it's one that that we all need to work on together. So, Nick, Salome, Malik, thank you all for being here today, and we'll see you all next time at home on our next edition of Word in the Burg.